Good evening, I'm Ron Burgundy.
And I'm Brian Fantana, and these are our top 10 craziest places to live based on plate tectonics.
Coming in at number 10 on our countdown is Lake Nyos, Cameroon. Lake Nyos is a lake on top of a pocket of magma. The magma is here because of a hot spot under the surface of the earth, which formed the Cameroon line, which is an extinct line of volcanoes. This plate above the hotspot moves, however the hotspot itself doesn't move at all. This creates danger because this hotspot could blow at any time without any given notice, sending pyroclastics into the air. The last noted activity was on August 21st, 1986, when the water from the lake turned over and depressurized carbon dioxide from the hotspot and creating a fierce explosion, killing 17,000 people and thousands of animal and plant life.
Coming in for number 9, Istanbul, Turkey. No one knows when the North Anatolian Fault will rupture, but it definitely will. For the past century, earthquakes on the North Anatolian Fault in northern Turkey have been creeping westward. The next time the ground shakes, scientists expect that it will be even further west. A 2010 study in the journal Nature Geoscience found that tensions along the fault are building and could trigger multiple small to moderate quakes, or it could all go at once. USGS geophysicist Tom Parsons told Nature that the chances of Istanbul being hit by a magnitude 7 or greater quake in the next 75 years are between 30 and 60%.
Number 8 on our countdown is Naples, Italy, home of Mount Vesuvius, one of the biggest, baddest volcanoes known to man, with one of the most devastating outcomes. Naples doesn't just have to worry about this volcano, however. The Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Naples is lined with volcanoes that threaten the city. Last noted activity is Mount Vesuvius, last went off 79 AD and destroyed the ancient city of Pompeii. This devastation buried the city in ash and cinder from the volcano and killed thousands of people. These volcanoes are caused by the Eurasian plate and African plates colliding, resulting in the subduction of the African plate, which leads to melting, thus creating magma, which rushes up through volcanoes surrounding the city.
Number 7 on our list is the Philippines. The eastern side of the Philippines Sea Plate is a convergent boundary with the Pacific Plate and the Agasara Trench. It is very dangerous due to its high risk of earthquake due to ocean and ocean collision, thus creating a trench and subduction, creating sea floor spreading and earthquakes occurring.
Number 6 on our list is Nepal, home to the largest mountains in the world, the Himalayan Mountains, and the largest peak in the world, Mount Everest. These mountains were formed by a continent-continent collision between the Indian and Eurasian plates. Nepal is on a fault line, leaving it vulnerable to an earthquake due to movement in the earth plates, causing the earth to tremor and earthquakes. Last quake in April 2015, measuring at a 7.8 on the Richter scale, leaving thousands dead or wounded and millions of dollars worth of damage.
Number 5 on our list, Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa. Located in the Great African Rift Valley and sitting on a divergent plate boundary on the African plate, the Earth's crust was ruptured and pulled apart. That was caused by convection currents in the mantle. Last major eruption was about 360,000 years ago.
Coming in at number 4 on the list is New Zealand. New Zealand is right on top of the Pacific and Indo-Australian plates. This plate is a subduction zone under the east side of the North Island. There are frequent earthquakes that occur, and is also a chain of frequently erupting volcanoes. This is a subduction zone on a convergent plate boundary with an ocean-to-ocean collision. The last major eruption was in July of 2010, leaving hundreds and thousands wounded or killed and thousands of dollars worth of damage.
Number 3 on our list, the San Andreas Fault, California. The San Andreas Fault has had several very dangerous earthquakes in the past. In 1857, Fort Tejon earthquake, about 350 kilometers, were ruptured in central and southern California. The SAF is the southern boundary between the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate. It slices California into two from Cape Mendocino to the Michoacán border.
For years, the rocks will be locked with no movement at all as they push against one another. Suddenly, the built-up strain breaks the rock along the fault, and the plate slips a few feet all at once. The breaking rocks send out waves in all directions that we feel as earthquakes. Being about 28 million years old, rocks from great distances have been juxtaposed against rocks from very different locations and origins. Number 2 on the list is Wyoming, United States. Wyoming is home to Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone is known as a supervolcano because of its explosive and how big the magma chamber is due to the hotspot beneath it. If Yellowstone erupts, the ton of ash and cinder gets sent up into the air, causing no sun for years. No sun affects the food chain, which will in turn lead to the extinction of many mammals and other living creatures. This supervolcano is due to a hotspot beneath the surface, which is causing the Yellowstone to have such a large magma chamber. The last major eruption was in 1980 with the eruption of Mount St. Helens, with about 57 deaths and approximately $1.1 billion worth of damage. And finally, number 1 on our list is Japan. Japan is very prone to earthquakes and volcano eruptions. The Sakurajima volcano is one of the most active volcanoes in Japan, amongst others. This volcano erupted 200 times in 1995. The most recent natural disaster in Japan's history was an earthquake, then a tsunami in 2011. On March 11th, an earthquake with measuring a 9.0 on the Richter scale hit Japan. This powerful quake quickly resulted in a tsunami, which reached up to 40 meters tall and then pushed on to Japan. This resulted in $235 billion worth of damage and millions of lives lost. The country of Japan is located right next to a plate boundary that is on an ocean-ocean convergent boundary. This is subducted. This can be proven by the Japanese Trench that is just off the coast of Japan, or the fact that it is in the Waditi-Benioff zone. These are our top 10 craziest places to live based on plate tectonics. Thank you very much for watching.
I'm Brian Fantana.
And I'm Ron Burgundy. Stay classy, San Diego.